Hello, everyone. It's Thursday. Time for Soccer Talk. I'm Bo.
And I'm Greg. How are we doing today, Bo?
We're doing well. We're doing well. Got a lot of soccer to talk about. Obviously, coming off the big tournaments over in Europe, and obviously the one that was here in the U.S. with the Copa. Let me get your thoughts real quick. Two exciting finals in both of those.
No doubt, yeah. It really just goes to show, I mean, if you watch both of those finals, some of the highest level soccer you'll ever see,
Sure.
but just going about it in such different ways. The intensity of the Copa America. I saw a comparison between the 20 slowest games in terms of pace of play at the Copa versus the 20 fastest at the Euro.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a like for like, but it just goes to show the intensity, the speed of play at the Copa is really unlike anything that you're going to see in any level of soccer. It's unbelievable how the intensity and the passion, and I mean, it really was two really memorable finals.
I loved it. Unfortunately, we had to wait about an hour and 15 minutes to get that one underway. Obviously, they had some issues. People tried to get in who did not have tickets. There's huge crowds wanted to see this matchup. It was really against that rising Colombia squad and then an Argentina team just chock full of talent and experience. And obviously, talent and experience wins out. But in that game, I think the thing taking away from it, besides the fact it was exciting to watch, is Lionel Messi. Obviously, with the ligament pull now in his ankle, what's next for him? But seeing him sit there crying on the sidelines, it was really, really emotional.
It really was difficult to watch, yeah, as a soccer fan. Obviously, Argentina able to come through in the end. Lautaro Martinez really distinguished himself in this tournament. He's been one of the best strikers in Italy's Serie A for a couple of years now, and was the leading goal scorer in this tournament, and got the winner in stoppage time. But it does looking back on Lionel Messi's career, seeing maybe other previous tournaments where he was able to kind of bootstrap this Argentina team to the final. This is a tournament where Lionel Messi really wasn't the focal point. He had a couple of games, scored against against Canada in the group stage, but it really wasn't the Lionel Messi and friends that we're used to seeing. It really just goes to show the pedigree that has kind of been able to rise around Messi in the Argentina squad.
Where everybody else is on that team speaks highly of maybe where Argentina is going. Still going to be one of the top teams to watch when it comes to international play. As far as Europe is concerned, boy, a wave of emotion in that one. I mean, you think the Netherlands has got this thing. England's back line to me was a little wishy-washy at times, obviously, but then they get the equalizer, and then right when you think, hey, we're headed to overtime,
Indeed, yeah, it can happen that quickly.
I said Spain. I'm thinking
right,
Netherlands,
Spain, of course.
Spain,
yeah, when we talked about Spain, they really were the most impressive side across this tournament, really playing some expansive play, and really had some, the breakout stars of the tournament, Nico Williams.
Williams Jr.
From really had an impressive tournament, and scored some crucial goals. But really,
very well for Spain.
What we could be looking back on years from now is the debut or really the coming out party for 16-year-old Lamine Yamal, the youngest player to ever score at the Euros. Really just incredible to see, scored an absolutely the goal of the tournament, in my opinion, against France. And this is a player that we could be talking about, Rio, for the next decade plus as one in the pantheon of the next great soccer talents.
What'll be interesting to see now is what happens with England. Obviously, looking for a new manager. And
that's right.
We'll see what happens there as they continue to move forward. Of course, all eyes are still on U.S. soccer as well to see kind of what the plans are here moving ahead, too. So a lot of questions internationally. Bring it back to Knoxville for a moment now. Let's focus on One Knox. This is a team that went into a game, their last game, and you're sitting there thinking, boy, you look at the numbers. Do we even have a chance in this thing? There's always that one team that just seems to get the best of you. And Northern Colorado has always kind of been that thorn, it seems like, on One Knox's side, even though it's still a very young lifespan here for One Knox. But again, it looks like the team is starting to kind of figure things out, kind of go back to how we saw them playing at the beginning of the season and kind of turning things around. You always have that mid-season or at least some point in the season where you kind of hit a little bit of a speed bump, but it looks like they're getting past that. So obviously a huge win for these guys in their last outing.
You know that they had this one circled on the calendar, in the 5 previous matches, One Knoxville, the best they had managed up to that point was a draw with Northern Colorado. Earlier in the season, Northern Colorado handed them their biggest loss in club history, League One or at the League Two level, a 5-1 thumping really away from home. So that this was huge for the psyche of this team, to come off those back-to-back wins and then, extend that to make that 3 in a row. This as we kind of enter this back half of the season, both in league play and in the cup, this is a huge one for teams' morale, I would imagine.
I would think so too. Definitely, it was a big game. We're going to hit some of the highlights for you here, and actually going to kind of pick this one up in the second half. That's when things really kind of started to go. But One Knox had a lot of chances in this game, and it really kind of came after a couple of substitutions, kind of turned things around here.
Right, everything really kicked off, I would say, in about 67th minute. Knoxville made a couple of attacking changes. Kingsford Ajay and Gio Calixto came on, and it came to a head in an explosive fashion here in the 78th minute, where Gio Calixto takes a nasty elbow up high from a Northern Colorado player, and the referee, makes no mistake about it, and comes right in and gives the red card.
He just turns. You see that elbow flying. Yeah, that left elbow.
Exactly, and Knoxville has had a couple of games this season where they've had really at the end of a game where they might have been up to 10, maybe on a second yellow or something, and they really haven't been able to press their advantage. But you really saw them with those attacking subs, and then once the going up a man at that point, they really flexed their muscles, in terms of the attacking output, and we saw that early on with a couple of great chances. Another instance of Gio Calixto really getting involved here, gets fortunate with the bounce here, but then a great flick by Tequila to send him, home free into some open space. It ultimately, wasn't able to test the keeper, but it really was a harbinger of things to come here for this.
Well, it was a great give and go, and good job as well by Calixto to keep his focus too. Like you were mentioning there, that ball just kind of came right back to him. Thought it looked like maybe we had a turnover there, or they had a turnover, but again, the ball came right back to his feet, and he was able to continue on. Really didn't break stride at all, and that really helped as well, because that was a quick counterattack and the great ball by Tequila. But again, unable to finish, but like you said, it kind of set the tone of what was coming here in the second half as far as how we were going to continue to push up.
Exactly. You can talk about organized patterns of play and your strategy on the ball all you want, but really a game can be won and lost on kind of a broken play where you really just have to act on instinct, and didn't quite come off on that instant, and we'll see it again really on this next highlight. Really almost had the goal of the season here as they continued to really put Northern Colorado under pressure. Steve Hagley finds Calixto again here, puts in a great cross to the edge of the 6-yard box, and man, what it could have been. Kingsford Ajay with an unbelievable effort bicycle kick just over the crossbar, and man, what a goal that would have been.
Yeah, that would have been probably the goal of the week, no question about that. Maybe the goal of the month or the year, as you were mentioning there. Whenever I see that, all I think about is Pele and victory.
Man.
I don't know, the bicycle kick, and they play it from so many different angles, and also we saw him do it outside of the movies as well, but made the bicycle kick famous. But yeah, that would have been a great opportunity, but again, it just kind of showed that One Knox, they were getting that opportunity. They were able to set it up, cross the ball, put it in right in the box in the crease there in front of the net, and unable to convert, but you just had a sense that it was going to happen.
Exactly. We've talked about, the retooled attack for Knoxville thus far this season, and it really just goes to show, they were able to, bring on these two exciting attacking players off the bench, and they really did, really change the entire, structure of this game with able to isolate defenders one-on-one when they're dribbling, going forward, and really just goes to show that Knoxville's got a lot more tools in their shed to potentially break down a really resolute defense like a Northern Colorado or some of the other top teams in this league.
Well, they finally got the breakthrough. It came late, though, just in the nick of time.
Boy, did it. Let's see here. Indeed. We have another instance where it comes out wide to Gio Calixto. He does a great job to beat his defender one-on-one, get to the byline. And how about the dummy from Angelo Kelly, leaving it for Rudy Castro, who makes no mistake about it. 90+4, and Knoxville looks on the way to all 3 points.
Yeah, well worth the wait, that is for sure. I mean, like I said, you could feel it starting to build as the game was going on, especially about midway through that second half. They were getting some good looks, good opportunities, and again, they finally able to convert. And you were right, it was a great job, great communication in there as well, allowing that ball to pass through all the way.
But for Knoxville now, they are entering the back half of this balanced USL League One league schedule. They switched to a balanced schedule this year, so you play every team. Excuse me. One home, one away for each game on the schedule, and so they put together back-to-back league wins with a cup match victory in the middle to really, I think at this point you could say they're playing their best soccer of the season thus far.
Yeah, I think without question. Like I said, we saw this early on in the year. The team was really able to move the ball around well, great communication, offensively and defensively. Had a little bit of a lull, but you'll see that with any team. It's not a sprint, as you always hear. It's a marathon, right? And it looks like they're regaining that form again. But it's still, as you saw, they're sitting fourth right now in the regular season standing, still very much in the playoff picture. Good place to be right now. Still some more games to go. Obviously, they can continue to climb that ladder and improve their standing overall. But it's great to see right now sitting in that fourth spot. And then when it comes to cup play, which is what we're going to be talking about next, because that's what's coming up this weekend, this is going to be a key game. You're sitting second. You're on the heels of Lexington, who's leading the group. Of course, the top teams go through automatically, and then there'll be one wild card team. We've got Chattanooga coming in. They have struggled in the cup games. This is one of those where I don't know if there's more pressure or not. This is the game you should win, right? So everybody expects you should come away with points in this one. I don't know if that puts more pressure on a team or not, and it is a rivalry game as well. So, Chattanooga's going to come up here. It'll be interesting to see, though, if they throw everything in the kitchen sink at Knoxville to try to ruin the party, or if they're just kind of sitting back thinking, well, we just need to save our energy for the regular season.
Indeed. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, I think, it is going to come in for a lot of pressure on One Knoxville. Chattanooga did play earlier this week. They dropped a 2-0 loss to Charlotte Independence on Tuesday, and really another tough match for Chattanooga. Really has had a difficult run of form. And following that game, we had some news come out from both the club that they were transferring one of their best players, midfielder Ricky Ruiz, was transferred to going up a league, USL Championship, is joining El Paso Locomotive for the rest of the season. So you're playing a team that is coming off a couple of bad losses and now has lost one of their big players. I would imagine they're starting to focus their energy on, getting into one of those last playoff spots in the league. So you have to think that One Knoxville has a great opportunity to secure 3 points, especially with the other 2 teams in this group that are vying for that first place spot facing off. It really is going to be critical to get these 3 points here, regardless of the results in the game between Lexington and Madison.
Yeah, you want to stay in the race here, that is for sure. And this is one of those games you're going to have to come away with all 3 points, that is for sure. So we'll keep an eye on that game. We'll have those highlights for you coming up next week on that one. Hey, real quick before we wrap this one up. Let's talk real quick about Major League Soccer. Big development last night. Man, if you're a youngster, here's the chance, man. You can get to the top level if you're good enough, that's for sure.
Indeed. You hear the saying all the time in soccer, if you're old enough, or if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Right.
And we saw that, to the extreme last night with the debut of 14-year-old Cavan Sullivan for Philadelphia Union. Came on late in a blowout win against New England Revolution. 14 years old, 293 days. 13 days younger than Freddie Adu when he made his debut in Major League Soccer. But obviously, this is a player coming into, really almost a completely different league than when Freddie Adu came in the early 2000s.
I'll say the MLS was still very young at that point, right? And the league has grown by leaps and bounds, even still in its short history, if you will, compared to obviously other leagues around the world. But a big moment. A lot of people going, how old is this kid? But he is literally a kid, So
absolutely unbelievable to see.
But a huge moment. A huge moment for him, and
nothing
hopefully
like
will continue to grow. And obviously, from here on out, you're going to feel the pressure and the talk, and that builds from something like this. But
what a moment for the Sullivan family. Really is just a whole. Both of the parents were soccer players, and don't forget about his older brother, Quinn Sullivan. Actually scored an unbelievable goal to make it 4-1 right before Cavan Sullivan came on. And so,
big day for the family.
Big brother said, hey, don't forget about me. I've still got a lot in the locker here too. But yeah, like you said, when Freddie Adu came into this league,
everybody was saying he was the next Pele.
Indeed,
all the pressure on that.
I think the atmosphere and the culture in American soccer now is a lot more. There's a much better structure for a young player to succeed. When Freddie Adu came in, he was really making more money than really any of the other players on that team. I think it was kind of difficult to integrate in that locker room with just with that dynamic. And, now we've seen over the last decade plus, Major League Soccer has been a great place where young players can come in here and succeed and show their talents.
The academies now, the teams, they have better structure, within each club, and more opportunities, reaching out to area youth and giving them opportunities as well and to grow. And we've been seeing that even at all levels, even with One Knox, the way they're incorporating and allowing a lot of the younger kids here, with the club teams and trying to get other kids who maybe can't afford to play this game opportunities to come in and be a part of it. of the beautiful game. So the opportunities are expanding, that is for sure, and that leads to better development for the youth.
That's right, and I'm sure as a Manchester City fan, you're very excited. Cavan Sullivan does have an agreement to join the English champions after his 18th birthday, so it's going to be interesting to see how he develops over this next couple years. Does he become a regular fixture in Major League Soccer with Philadelphia Union? Is there some loan potential to maybe some lower leagues in Europe to kind of get his feet wet abroad? But yeah, this is going to be an exciting player that we're going to be following over the next couple of years. Busy time for Major League Soccer. The secondary transfer window opens tomorrow. I'm sure plenty of fans have got some additions on their wish list that we're hoping to see over the next month. We're gonna have Leagues Cup starting.
Yep, can't wait for that.
Olympic soccer here, men's and women's. U.S. men are in the Olympic soccer tournament for the first time, I think, since 2004. So that's going to be, the summer of soccer is not over yet. We still got a lot of fun stuff here coming down the pipe.
And my team, Charlotte FC, right now is looking good.
Yeah, looking very good.
Looking good.
As a Nashville fan, I'm jealous. So I know I've got some players on my
We've
wish
been jealous
list.
of you for the short time that Charlotte's been around. So finally, we're having something to cheer about. But again, thanks for tuning in. We're going to wrap things up for you right now. But again, join us next week. We'll have a recap of One Knox, and obviously we'll take a look at the standings, keep you up to date as really things start to heat up, both in cup play as well as regular season play.
Indeed, can't wait. We'll see you then.